So one of the things I think we all understand is that BETT itself really does promote 21st century skills. So what is available to educators when you go there are examples of best tools for collaborating, how students are able to communicate through digital tools, learning management systems, pedagogical practices that are online, critical thinking. What are some of the tools that enable students for doing critical thinking? And so companies like, or organisations, because it's not a company like Raspberry Pi, have extraordinary stands showing how students are critically thinking and problem solving in a technical world. There's an incredible range of devices and ideas provided to educators. And some of the big ideas are presented in keynote addresses, which are the usual transfer of knowledge, I suppose, of keynote speakers sharing their learning with the teachers that come in the auditorium. Also, every year there's a member of the Ministry of Education who will take the lead and indicate a direction for educators in Great Britain. So one of the focuses, as it's same for us in Australia, is this idea of future focused learning. One of the things I think you'll see this year is far more displays. If you take that video tour, you'll note that a lot of the suppliers actually had students at those stands, because what we're all seeing across the world is the need for children to be at the centre of learning and to be hands-on creators using technology. And so maker spaces, digital tools, robots, etc., being designed for children to use and for those to be displayed and this is a very good illustration of students actually being engaged with looking at robotics. The result of this is a paper. The thinking from BETT that really sums it up is a paper we have on future focused learning, and that particular document you can download yourself, and it basically talks about how we're going to teach in the future, how learning will not be discrete chunks. As you know, learning is a lifelong learning opportunity, that people will constantly be upgrading their skills, and the fact that we now can do this online, that we can do this globally, that we don't actually have to be at that institution, we can do it in the workplace, we can decide what our particular learning needs are, is how we have to think about how we're educating our own students in our classrooms. And these are ideas that are not far away from the policy frameworks that Australia is operating in at the moment. One of the things it talks about as well, which I suppose is interesting, is that we may need to learn how to work with robots. We may have to understand how work will be translated and changed because of the robotic nature, or because we can now hand that over to machinery, but we have to learn to work with machines. And I think your own personal experience might be where you on a call center and you're actually not talking to a human being, you're talking to a robotic version of a human being. Learning how to work in those contexts is going to be important for our students as they go forward. It's not a scary thing. It's the way of the future. It's a great idea that some of the more boring tasks are removed from us and the creative spaces are available to, and the human spaces are available to humans. So that's actually the key message coming through this through BETT this year, about what we have to do to ensure that we have our populations across the world with the right skills as this disruption to the workplace and the disruption to all areas of our lives continues. And we have to have our students being able to deal with that rapid change. And unfortunately, some of our colleagues are not happy to face that disruption, often find it irritating because teachers are often gifted and talented people who like to be in control of detail. And the world of our new world is quite disruptive and uncontrollable. So that's a new way of thinking about, okay, the pace of change with technology, how do we manage that? What are our strategies? And the only way as educators that we can undertake that thinking is to have a strategy for the next 5 years, just small blocks of change. How do we bring in new disruptive practices, new technologies into our world for the next 5 years, and then change again over the next 5 years? One of the things that I think it's been a massive change, and we've seen this here, where schools are now creating learning spaces. They've got creative spaces for students to do hands-on project, authentic learning, and in a hands-on way that's messy. It's not neat and in rows and in perfect delivery. It's about the creation of new ideas and thinking and entrepreneurship in students. The 3 big ideas that came out of the show, if you like, of BETT, are really the trends that you must invest in teachers. They are a priceless resource. And if you know me, you know that that has been my absolute mantra from the hundreds of years that I've been involved in education. You have to support teachers to be able to do this, to give them the time and the space, because they are extraordinarily busy people, but they need to have those skills in order to be able to think about the future of work and what they can contribute and add into their school programs to enable that with students. We need teachers to be given some time for that, to release them from the cognitive load. And some of that cognitive load, as you would be aware, is that there are devices that don't work, there are versions that don't work for teachers, there are technologies that are too complicated and they can't fix, that need to be supported to have elegant, simple and effective tools to do their work. And the other element, of course, is the growing increase of the use of data for analytics, for feedback, but also there's an element about protecting children and their data and their measurement. So those 3 big ideas have come out of SMART, and I think it's very easy to see, if you understand where SMART itself is focusing, how it's addressing those 3 big ideas. So I'm going to hand over to Helen now to drill into how SMART is undertaking those 3 big ideas. So make sure you put your questions up, and we'll hand over now.
Okay, thanks, Sue. Thank you very much for that. So SMART's presence at BETT was very much thinking about the future and bringing to market some of the new products and new ideas that SMART has. Their mantra is definitely is inspiring greatness. Our mantra is inspiring greatness, and we had a significant new portfolio to share at BETT. Some of these products are available in Australia shortly, and they take a little bit longer to get to us in Asia Pacific than the rest of the world, but some of them are ready to go straight away. So here's some of the things that were shown on the SMART BETT stand 2018 in London. So we've introduced some new smart boards, and we'll have a conversation about some of those new smart displays that we have. We also introduced the Smart Learning Suite with Smart Learning Suite Online, and we'll have a little conversation about that. We also introduced a new Podium. So the new Smart Podium is on its way to Australia as we speak, and also a new smart document camera, and we'll have some conversations around how that works in our new education setting. So these new things included 86-inch 7000 series board, a new kind of board called the MX series board, and we'll talk a little more about that. It's not available to us until July of this year, but good to have seen it on the stand at BETT, and definitely something we want to talk about in Australia. SLS Online, Smart Notebook Player app as well, the Podium, as we've mentioned, and the document camera are the things that were new that we definitely saw at BETT. All these new things align to that research that SMART has undertaken, that we know that technology doesn't guarantee better outcomes, and we need to have that teaching, technology and learning interconnection. And that interconnection means that we need to have good teaching practices, software and hardware, which equals effective outcomes, and making sure that we have the right tools to do that using the tools that SMART is now providing. So we know that the Smart Learning Suite has included Smart Notebook, Smart Lab, which is the gamification piece, Smart Response, which is that formative and summative assessment piece, and Smart AMP, which is that digital creative co-creation space. But SMART have also brought into the market the Smart Learning Suite Online, which is lessons anywhere on any device. So digging a little bit deeper into that, Smart Learning Suite Online is a very flexible tool which allows teachers and students to create notebook lessons and game-based activities and assessments. You actually have access to things like GeoGebra and concept mapping and smart blocks in the Learning Suite, and you can actually share your Smart Notebook files to the Smartboard or a link to colleagues. So being able to access that content which by sharing a link through an internet browser is really important, and it's anywhere, so students can co-author this content. We can send notebook lessons to devices, and we can create games and game-based activities using Smart Learning Suite Online, and we can transition between those lessons offline, switching from any device that we have in the classroom to the Smartboard and interacting with them as seamlessly. So if you need a little bit more information about the Smart Learning Suite, definitely access it, see if you can access it yourself to test it out and see how it goes. I will talk a little bit more about Smart Learning Suite Online fairly soon. We also know that we saw some significant enhancement to Smart Notebook at BETT this year on the stand, and we actually have a little flyer that we will make available to everybody after the webinar that actually indicates the differences between Smart Notebook 11.4 as we progress to 17.2, which is where we're at right now, and what new functions and features you actually get by using SLS on SLS, and specifically having access to Smart Notebook 17.2. We also announced about there's some serious work is happening to the Smart Exchange. So there is over 1,000 resources already available on there, and some more coming, from the Asia Pacific region specifically. And the team in Smart Technologies Asia Pac will be launching Notebook of the Week before we know it, and you'll be seeing some good resources coming from the team here locally in Australia. So new things in Smart Notebook include a welcome screen, share to board, so you're actually able to share Smart Notebook lessons that are created directly to Smartboards and open them up using the lobby that's waiting within the Smart IQ functionality. You can actually share notebooks using a link, so you can send colleagues a lesson or resource that you have created using a link. We actually have the maths equation editor that's been updated, some flash updates, and some of the limited mode updates that still allows you to use some features of Smart Notebook. If your SLS license has actually expired, you still have some access to some of that content. So Notebook Player is actually where you can actually have Smart Notebook lessons on a mobile device or using the IQ module. So that was another piece that was introduced in BETT. So Notebook Player is where you're sending Smartboards to the IQ module and you're not plugging in a computer to a smartboard. You're actually delivering lessons, smart notebook lessons, on the actual smartboard using the IQ function that exists within the smartboard. And you can send those notebooks directly, as I've said before, to the smartboard from a device at home or in school or where else, and be able to run them off the smartboard without actually having a computer plugged into it. So it means that you can maintain that lesson flow and you don't have any interactions, and students and teachers can actually send that notebook lesson to an iPad if they choose to do so, and they can actually be driving the lesson from an iPad if they choose to, or from the smartboard if they choose to, or any device in the classroom. So some people are really pleased to hear. I imagine that some of the flash features have been updated. Some of the widgets are now available within the Smart Notebook software that many people have been asking for, that were historically created in Flash, and you're able to edit those effectively. So all the things that you used to be able to do using those Flash widgets, you're now actually able to do with these updated widgets and tools within the Smart Notebook software. Now, I won't dig too much into the Smart Notebook software updates, because we do have a few of those, and we'll have some more sessions on that, because I want to cover the sorts of products and services that were actually shown on the BETT stand. So as well as all the updates within Smart Notebook, we actually had, which included the ease of use tools that we're showing on this slide here. There were a few updates to the things that are happening in Smart Lab, and we know why gaming is so important, and we can understand the research that's taking place to explain why it's very important to have this game-based learning in classrooms. Some of the features that we're including in our gaming activity now might be things like timers that are included in the games, and you can actually edit the timers and add the timer widgets onto the games. There are a plethora of different backgrounds and different activities, particularly in things like Monster Quiz. Again, we will have separate sessions on the features and the new features of Smart Lab and Smart Notebook and Smart Response and AMP in future webinars that we will have available. But right now, let's concentrate on what's new for us with as a whole with Smart Learning Suite. Smart Learning Suite is cloud-based, and what it would look like is a little bit like this. So teachers would be able to create a lesson. So let's say that they're creating a lesson here at home on their notebook. They are actually able to share that notebook to their smartboard. They walk into the classroom, they log into their smartboard, and they're actually able to select a lesson from the library and share that lesson with multiple student devices in the classroom. For a student, it would mean that they're logging into their device, they're actually connecting to their classroom teachers, and they're able to interact with that notebook content from their device within the classroom setting. So really exciting things coming from the Smart Learning Suite and Smart Learning Suite Online specifically, and being able to access all your notebook files wherever you are on whatever device you happen to have in your particular setting. So onto the hardware itself, smart board displays. These were the boards that were on display in BETT, and the 7000 series was actually nominated to be one of the finalists for the BETT Awards for interactive flat panels, which is really exciting. The 6000 series was on display, and also was the MX series, which if we're doing the good, better, best scenario, this is our good offering here, and this is very cost-effective MX series smart board, and it will be available in Australia, as I mentioned, later in the year. So not till July will we be seeing this product in Australia. We've also got the 2000 series on the display at the BETT stand, and the 2000 series is that non-touch smart board where content can actually be wirelessly screen shared to the device, and that you do actually have access to SLS on these devices as well, on the 2000 series too. So all of smartboard displays are built for classrooms. They all have that built-in IQ functionality where you can send content like notebooks to the boards. You can actually share, you can actually whiteboard, you can share lessons to the board, you can browse the internet, you can actually wirelessly screen share to the devices. So all of these features are available on the smartboard displays there. Obviously this board is non-interactive, so we're not picking up the pen and writing on the 2000 series. They're all 4K. They all include the 1-year subscription to the Smart Learning Suite, and these all also have presence detection cameras, so they actually turn on and off for that energy 5-star rating and making sure that they are energy efficient. Sizes, and they're also manufactured in conflict-free minerals and sourcing, so that socially responsible choice for smartboards in Australia too. So sizes, the 7000 series comes in 75-inch and 86-inch. The 6000 series comes in 65-inch and 75-inch. And the MX series will come across the range from 65 to 86 inches. The 2000 series is currently just available in the 75 inches there. We've seen some updates to the IQ technology and the IQ functionality that exists within smartboards. So this allows for that PC-free access to smart tools and some of the applications, and actually allows for things like wireless screen sharing and input selection, particularly on the 7000 series. The new update to the IQ actually allows things like exporting PDFs to a USB onto your smartboard. You can customize the pen tool, so you're not just using the 4 colored pens that you have in the tray. You can actually access a color wheel and choose any of the colors in the color wheel. And you also have some administration settings to lock down certain things, so that you can lock down certain features, which is a really great new feature that's happening within that smartboard. And we've mentioned the sharing to the board previously. So Smart also had the Smart Podium on the Smart stand this year. So Podium actually is allowing you to access Smart Learning Suite or whichever smart software products and engaging your audience and interacting with your audience using a podium setting. So this would be a very similar scenario. So this may be an educator who's standing at the front of the room facing the class and wanting to interact with content on the podium, and that content being reflected on the front of room display in the classroom around that. So some of the features of the podium include 24 touch screen, 10 touch points, a wireless cord. It has gestures, so you can pinch and zoom in it. So really excellent features, and it's also available with Smart Learning Suite or Meeting Pro. Again, the Podium will actually be available in Australia later this year. We're hoping to get it before July, before the other one, but definitely be coming to Australia before too long. And these are the sorts of scenarios where podiums are definitely useful in those bigger spaces. Okay, so the last product that I wanted to talk about that was on the Smart stand at BETT is the Smart Document Camera. The 550 Smart Document Camera has just recently been released. Again, this is wireless, and it has some really nifty features that actually integrate with that IQ functionality. So it's got things like wireless screen sharing and this flexible neck, and as I've mentioned, it's cordless, and it has that microscope adapter in it, so we can see it's a very simple device that curls all the way up and locks into here, so it's quite compact in classrooms, and it actually has SD card slots for storage and different things that are inbuilt into the document camera. So just as we would expect with any smart document camera, it actually has integration automatically within the Smart Notebook software, or we could insert Smart Document Camera Viewer if you're not familiar with the Smart Notebook integration of the document camera. and it provides integrated smart recording in that space, and you can write and annotate over the top of any images that you actually have underneath the document camera, as you can see in this image. But what's really exciting about the new document camera is you can actually wirelessly screen share from your document camera to the smartboard without having any other device plugged into it. So using the screen share functionality, you can wirelessly screen share to your iCue that exists within the smartboard, and you're able to annotate over the top of what you can actually see within the smart notebook software within the document camera viewer at that particular point. And it's wireless, so move it around the classroom wherever you choose to do so, and you'll be able to share those screens effectively from wherever you're located in the classroom using the new document camera. So without further ado, I'm going to leave just a few minutes there for any questions. We had lots and lots going on at BETT this year, as you can see, and some exciting sessions. And as Sue mentioned, we actually had lots and lots of students on the stand, which was super, super fantastic for everybody involved. And they really enjoyed having those students there, showing them how to use the smartboard effectively in teaching and learning environments. So before we go any further, are there any questions out there? Crystal, can you help us with that?
Hi, Helen. I've got a question here. Will most of the new software functionalities still run on non-smart interactive touch panels?
Absolutely, yes. So the functionality you can have access to SLS, so you would be able to use the AMP co-collaboration. So you could have multiple devices sitting around a smart board, a 2000 series smart board, and they can be working in that co-creation space at the same time. So multiple students, multiple teachers actually working in that space at the same time. You can also have wirelessly screen sharing with those non-touch smart boards, and you can actually have access to all the features of SLS.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That was it for questions for now, Helen. Let me just check the chat board. No, that's it for questions for now.
Great, awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, guys. And this will be available on YouTube. And as we mentioned, you'll have those flyers and links to the other videos that you may want to watch. And we look forward to seeing you in our next Smart webinar next Wednesday, same time. Thanks. Bye.